Welcome back. Today's lesson is going to focus on linear and binary search, part of the Python intermediate series of lessons. Hopefully you've understood the basics and are comfortable with creating loops and selection and functions and procedures and string manipulation. We're going to move on to looking at how searches are conducted in Python. Now, since computers were created, users have devised programs, many of which in part need to do the same thing. So we develop common algorithms, and two of the most common algorithms used are searches and sorts. Searches allow datasets to be examined and for specific items to be found, whereas sorts allow datasets to be put into order. Now, it makes sense that if you have an ordered dataset, it perhaps is quicker to search, but we're going to be looking at all of that later on. The most common methods of searching include linear search and binary search, and we'll be focusing on that, whereas the most common methods of sorting include bubble sort and insertion sort, and we'll be looking at those as part of this series of lessons. Now on screen you can see our structure. We're almost reaching the halfway point of our lesson series. This is the fourth lesson, and it's still relevant to IGCSE and A-level students both. Now, what's the difference between linear and binary searches? Obviously, we know we need to look for information in datasets. Google made an entire industry out of this, and it's one of the biggest companies on the planet because of Google search. Its algorithm to find information through terabytes of data is phenomenal, and it's super quick. Well, let's focus on linear and binary searches for now. Although linear and binary searches produce the same results, you get to the same answer. Linear search is best used when data is not in order or for smaller lists. However, if the list is much longer and the data is in order, then it's more efficient to calculate the indexes needed to perform a binary search. Now, both algorithms could be used to search a simple list. So in your case, in exams, the lists are often very small, and chances are you can find the answer much more quicker with linear search rather than putting things into order and then conducting a binary search. However, you need to understand how both techniques work. So let's start by looking at linear search. At times we will set up a database or a data set, which is normally in the form of an array. Each element of that array is compared with the value you're searching for in order from the lower bound, which means it's the first index, index 0, to the upper bound, which is the last index of the array, which we can probably find out by the length of the array. And we keep comparing it using a selection until the item is found, or we reach the upper bound and we haven't found the item. Now, we've already conducted a linear search in practice question 5 in Python Basics 3, and the example is on screen. We had a set of names, and you had to find Bao, so you compare Bao with Tat, it's not it, then with Rosie, it's not it, and so on, until you find that particular name later on in the list. So linear searches are very easy to implement. All you need is a loop and a selection, and then you can give an output based on whether you found something or not. You could always use a flag as well to say that I found it, the flag is set to true, if you're using a while loop as well. So it works both ways, using a count control loop and a while loop. So we're going to mix things up a bit. The practice questions in this lesson are based on past paper questions for A-level. So we're going to take it step by step rather than solving the whole thing together. So a program stores the following 10 integers in a 1D array with the identifier array data. So the numbers are on screen. Write program code for a new program to declare the global 1D array data with 10 elements. Initialize array data in the main program using the data values shown above. So you don't need to do any searching right now, just need to initialize them. Okay, so we're going to be using our technique of declaring using a comment and then initializing it by assigning values to it. Pause the video, have a go, see if you can do this, and if you can't, continue on to see a possible solution. You should have something like this: a comment statement which declares array data, which is basically an array of 10 elements. Now you could also add the type, that this would be an integer type. Since all the data is integer, you can write it down any particular way: declare array data, colon array of integer, or array brackets 0 colon 9 of integer type. That's fine. There is no convention of how to write it. You can do it in pseudocode, you can write it in plain English if you so wish. Array data then is assigned the values in square brackets 10, 5, 6, 7, and so on. That's all you needed. This would probably be worth about 2 marks. We now move on to practice question 2. This is part B of that question. A function, linear search, takes an integer as a parameter and performs a linear search on array data to find the parameter value. It returns true if it was found and false if it was not found. Write program code for the function linear search. So you need to remember how to do functions and how to conduct a linear search on the array that you just created. Pause the video, try to code it, and when you're ready, continue to check a possible solution. Okay, you should have something like this for your function. You define linear search. It takes in a number input as a parameter. For x in range starting with 0 for 10 iterations. If array data x is equal to your number, then you return true, else you return false. And based on true and false, we're going to do something later on. So your function should be something along the lines of this. Now, for marks, you probably get a mark for defining the function statement with the parameter, one for the loop, one for the comparison, one for the return. So 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 marks would be given for just this bit of code. Practice question 3, we're now going to move on and we're going to edit the main program to allow the user to input an integer value, pass the value to linear search as a parameter, output an appropriate message to tell the user whether the search value was found. Now, can you see, we could have coded the whole thing in one go, but the exam board doesn't ask you to do that. It does it in stages. So you've got to make sure that even though you know where this is going, you follow their steps to attain full marks. So here, pause the video, use what you've done so far, and build on that for this particular question. Continue when you're ready to check your answer. You should have something like this. You've declared your array data. You've got the array data initialized with some values. You ask the user for an integer input, which is stored in a variable called value in this case. We create a new variable called found, which is going to store either true or false when we run the linear search function with the value. And if found is equal to true, then we print it was found, else we print not found. So again, pretty straightforward. The only thing missing here is the linear search function, but that would make the screenshot a bit too big, so I've eliminated that. This is the part that you would normally screenshot, and you would put that into your evidence document in the exam. So again, pretty straightforward, nothing complex. Now here, you'd probably get a mark for getting the input, a mark for calling the search function, a mark for the selection, a mark for the output. So again, 4, possibly 5 marks, depending on how the exam board looks at this. I'm going to ask you to now create a function for practice question 4, a function for finding the largest value in an array and then print the multiplication table of that number. Now, you've done this before in the last lesson. However, I want you to try it out again, just so you are confident in your ability to manipulate linear searches. Pause the video, have a go, see if you can redo this, and then we'll continue on. There's an answer on screen, compare it, and I think you probably have aced this by now. If you haven't, then you've got some more practice to do. Practice question 5, the same as the one in the last lesson. Hopefully you can do this without even thinking about it now. It's that easy. Create an array with 5 names and get the user to input a name. Create a function that searches that array to find that name and either outputs found at index position, whatever the index position is, or outputs name does not exist in the array. Pause the video. Try to code this again from scratch, and if you can do this, you have aced linear search. There's nothing that the exam board can throw at you which you won't be able to deal with. Continue when ready. Okay, the solution's on screen. Please do have a look and compare. Hopefully you got this right. I won't explain that. If you need the explanation for this code, maybe watch the previous video and practice question 5's answer. It's the same one. That's enough on linear searches. I think it's pretty straightforward. Do a loop, do a comparison, output something. Now let's look at binary search. Linear searches can be slow as the number of items increase in a list. Even if the list is sorted, let's just say that you've got 10 million items in a list and you're looking for the 10 millionth item, and you've started looking at the beginning and you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to take you a number of steps, almost 10 million steps to get to your answer. Whereas if the list was very small, you probably can get to it pretty quickly. And if you were looking at, say, 1 in that linear search, you'd get the answer straight away. So it's much more faster depending on how the data set is. But we look at worst possible scenario, and that's big O notation if some of you remember that from the theory lessons. Now, linear search's efficiency is O to the n, which means that the order isn't important to it at all. If the list is sorted, then it might be better to use something called a binary search. So how does binary search work? Well, we find the mid position value of an array and then we compare it to the actual value that we're looking for. Now there could be three cases here. Data is found at this mid position, data is less than the value at the mid position, or data is greater than the value at the mid position. Okay, so three possible cases. So if we have 1 to 10 and we want to find out 7, we don't compare it to 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. We'll compare it to the middle value, which would probably be 5. And then we'll say, well, is 7 greater than 5 or is it less than 5? Well, quite clearly 7 is greater than 5. So we're going to discard all the other values which are 5 and below, and then we're going to rejig the array by moving the lower bound a bit higher. And we'll say, well, okay, the lower bound is now midpoint plus 1. So you start with comparing 6 to 10, then that gives you about 4 values. You work out the midpoint and then do a comparison again, and you keep repeating it until you reach the item. Now, how does it look like in practice? Well, let's do that. I'm going to ask you to think about it first and have a go at practice question 6. Of course, if you can't do it, skip forward and look at the code and study it. But try to see if you can code this yourself. We're going to use array data once again, and we're going to put in a set of values, a set of numbers in there. Now this, if you can see, is not sorted yet. You can either sort the data manually into a new array or use the dot sort function, which is built into Python. So you could say array data dot sort and it'll sort it out for you, which is pretty straightforward. Sometimes in exams, they ask you to sort something, then you would have to code the sort yourself. We'll look at that next lesson. At other times, you can just get the computer to do it for you. Now write the binary search function and take the integer to be found as a parameter and return true if it's found and false if it is not found. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to you to do. Think about it. You've got all the parts from the previous lessons to do this, and when you're ready, continue to check a possible solution. Now on screen you see a possible solution to this. We've got our array data initialized. We've sorted it out using array data.sort. We defined a binary search function which takes in a number value as a parameter. We've then worked out the upper, which is the length of the array data minus 1. Why length of array data minus 1? Well, because it starts with 0. So the length of array data might say there are 10 items, but the index is going to be 9 because it starts with 0. Therefore, we need to do minus 1. We set the lower bound to 0 because the beginning point is 0. We set found flag to false because we haven't found anything yet. So while not found, which is the same as saying while found, two equal signs false. This is a quicker way of writing found equals false. We work out the midpoint, which is going to be upper plus lower divided by 2. You can use 2 slashes to work out the div if you wanted to do that as well, because sometimes you might get a decimal point and you want to round things up a bit. So we just want to get the quotient rather than something decimal. Or you can say mid is going to be int of upper plus lower divided by 2. If array data midpoint equals the number, then found is equal to true. We return true back to the main program. Else if the value at the midpoint is less than the number, we need to rejig our lower bound. So if the value was less than the number we're looking for, therefore quite clearly the value is in the upper half of the list. Therefore we move the lower bound by simply saying lower is now going to be midpoint plus 1. Why plus 1? Because we've already checked the midpoint and the value wasn't there. Else, if that wasn't the case, if the value was quite clearly greater the other way, then we need to move the upper bound a bit lower because we checked the midpoint, therefore the upper becomes midpoint minus 1. Now we keep doing this until we find the item. In that case, we'll return true, or if the lower is greater than the upper. Because if the lower bound ends up greater than the upper bound, then we have to return false because we reached the end of the list and the item does not exist in it. And that's our function done. We ask the user for an input, we store that in number, and then we can simply print the function out, print binary search number, which will give us a true or a false. Now you could modify this program slightly, and then you can use a selection here where you could perhaps store the function results in a variable and then say if found is equal to true, item was found, else item was not found. Hopefully you understand how binary search works now. So time to test how good your understanding is. Find the 5 mistakes in this code which deals with binary search. They should be pretty straightforward. I won't go through the answers because you can always compare it to the correct code in the previous segment of the video. Hopefully this will build up your understanding of binary search and you would be able to do a binary search in an exam without too much effort. That's all for today's lesson. Hopefully you understand the need for searching, you understand how linear search works, you understand how binary search works as well, and you understand the differences between both of them. You should also be able to code linear and binary searches using Python for a variety of scenarios. The more you practice this, the better you'll get at it, and it'll actually be very easy in the exam. If you've got any questions, feel free to write them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.